Good morning. So it's Sunday today, and Sunday means we squat. So we're in Torquay today, and we just had a nice ride in, saw the moon on the way in, that was nice. And my legs feel a little bit tired from that 2K row and from boxing. Don't think I got enough calories yesterday, but no one cares, work harder. So today we've got a lower body speed and power workout. We'll go through some jumps, a little bit of prowler work, and then some kind of supplementary hypertrophy stuff, and then we'll squat and jump again at the end. So this is the Torquay Club. I bought this on the 31st of March 2001, and we actually opened it on the 1st of October 2001, which was the day after my daughter was born. So it was a pretty chaotic time in my life. When people ask me about sort of the journey of when it's 2000, I always point to this period as when I learned the most. When I opened the painting gym, I was there 60, 70 hours, maybe more on duty. I was there every day. We opened at 6, closed at 9, trained afterwards. So it's easy to set a culture, you just do it. And then I always say you teach people by osmosis or by diffusion. They just learn your standards and they learn how you want things done just because they're around you. You know everything, you know, you're collecting the drinks from bookers, you're doing the cleaning, you're doing the accounts. When I got the second club here, I realized that the way that I'd run the business up until that point wasn't going to work anymore, because it wasn't just me on duty anymore. I had to learn about communication, I had to learn about, you know, delegating things, and it was very difficult. The first year here, probably October 2001 to 2002, I think was the hardest point. Probably when I learned on the job, and I went from being someone that just led because I had a vision and I was hardworking and I was passionate, and those things could get me through with one club when you're just really a doer. And then when I got this club, I realized that things had to change. I think that's probably when I grew the most. When people ask me about business now, I always make that sort of differentiation with them between, it's okay if you've just got one shop, one barber shop, or just one garage. You can just do, and people will just copy what you do. But when you have more than one, it's not going to work, and you're either going to sort of grow the way that you manage time, so personal management systems, or you're just going to drown. And for me, I was lucky to have some really good people around me, like Hannah, like Johnny, who just, you know, worked incredibly hard, like Luke, you know, and all that. And you know, we found a way through. But that was the most challenging period. I love this club. I've got so many great memories here. Like I say, it's just past its 20th year anniversary. Always enjoyed training legs here for some reason. We've had so many great memories here over the years. So, right, enough talking. I've got to do the world's longest warm up, and then we've got to squat. Level up. It's Wednesday and I've brought you over to Newton Abbot. So Newton Abbot was our third club, and we bought this site in 2009. This used to be a bowls club. So the area I'm sat on outside here used to be a an outdoor bowling green. And this became available in 2009 because the club wasn't making any money. Basically, it's being funded by the Sports Council and by Teambridge Council. They didn't want to continue doing that, so we went through lots of loops and lots of challenges, problems with planning and stuff, and eventually we bought the club and we opened it in October 2009. When I think about sort of, Winners 2000, I think about starting it and building it and what I wanted to do. I think the period really from when we opened this club until sort of lockdown and all that sort of stuff is the period where it was really delivering what I wanted it to do, sort of its mission, if you like. So when I started Winners 2000, it was always because I felt like I had this calling, or I had this sort of passion to kind of have an impact and almost like a legacy on this community where I'd grown up, which of course was Teambridge and Torquay really. And I felt like I'd learned a lot about what, say, exercise training, team sports, all those sorts of things, what they could do for me, and how positive that was in people's lives, and had this feeling that if I started a gym, it could have a real impact in the community. There used to be a TV series called Cheers, which was set in Boston. It was in a bar, and the theme tune referred to, there's some lyrics that said, sometimes you want to go where everyone knows your name. And when I started Winners 2000, I didn't have a business plan at all. I was completely clueless with business, but what I did have was this really strong vision and like feeling, and that tends to be the way that I work and some people work, which is whereby I'll get a vision for something and then I'll work backwards from it and say, okay, how do I get there? And that was really what I always wanted Winners 2000 to be, was to be something that was just a positive impact on the community. The mission statement always said, we want to improve the quality of people's lives. And that really mattered to me. I was very genuine in that. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't really have any financial targets. And a lot of people would say, that's naive, that's not the way to run a business. But I always came from the standpoint of, if I can run the best gym in the country was my goal, best gym in the UK, which we won on multiple occasions until we stopped entering. If I can do that, then I think everything will take care of itself. And when I look back on, say, the history of this club, there's a few key things that stick out. In 2012, we won our first National Gym of the Year. I think we won it again in 2014 and 16, and we won the Southern Area Award for like 5 consecutive years, until I reached a point where I said to the National Fitness Games, look, maybe we should stop. It's not a good thing. So they actually asked me if I wanted to judge it, and I said, look, maybe we need to look for something else to sort of move towards. It might not be good for you if you always have the same winner every year. So I think that was really a proud moment for all of us, in that we'd always talked about being the best in the UK, and then we finally achieved it. And I always remember that when it actually happened, I'd already moved on from it. I'd already thought about what's the next thing, and I was already thinking about development work that we can do, extending the car park. So I look back to 2012, and I remember that as a key moment. I remember a period between, say, 2013 and 2015, when I was doing my master's degree in strength and conditioning up at Cardiff Met, great uni, and I was also playing American football, which at that point meant I was travelling around the country at weekends to, say, Bournemouth or Portsmouth or Gloucester or Southampton, or they were the teams in our league. And I remember having these goals of, I want to complete my master's degree, I want to get a distinction, and I want to be the best tight end. A tight end is a position on the field. I would be involved in, say, catching as well as blocking. Catching was really my thing. I remember having these goals, and a lot of people saying to me, look, you can't do all of this at the same time. You can't run a business and a family and play American football and do a master's degree. And I remember sort of a lot of voices saying to me, like, it's just too much, you can't do it. But I actually look back on it as a period whereby, again, the larger the challenge, the larger the growth, and I was able to really refine my personal management systems, become even more efficient in how I use my time, and I was able to do all of those things, complete my masters, do really well in it, play tight end to a really high level. It's for other people to say if I was the best in the country or not, but I certainly felt like I was one of them, and I look back on that as a period I'm really proud of. Some of you will then know that I had a pretty strong involvement with Torquay United for 2 years, basically with Kev Nicholson. So Kev started working with me in about 2012, initially to help with his fitness. I don't think it was a secret, he was overweight, and he wasn't particularly fit, he wasn't a great athlete. He was referred to me by a friend, Richard Carhide, a chiropractor. So I did some work with him, but very early in our relationship, he talked about he wanted to be a manager. So we actually started sort of putting together a thing called the blue and yellow print, which was the way we were going to run Torquay United. And 3 years later, 2015, he got the job, and we worked very closely. I was there sort of involved on a daily basis, completely voluntary. There was no money at the club, so it definitely wasn't a paid role. But I'd always been passionate about Torquay United, I'd always been passionate about the area. I'd always wanted to get involved in football management, and I felt like it was a great test and a great challenge, because the circumstances, anyone that knows a bit about Torquay United would know that the circumstances were just mad. There was technically no owners of the club, we were massively in debt, we had nowhere to train, we were getting kicked off council pitches, we had no washing powder some days, these types of things. It was crazy. It'll make a great book one day for Kev, I'm sure.
And I remember working very closely on a daily basis with him and eventually achieving what we called the greatest escape, where we sort of, over the last 15 games of the season, I think we won 12, lost 1, something like that, drew 2, and were able to come from a 12-point gap and survive. And I remember, you know, a lot of that happened here. A lot of the players were training here, and that's a period that I'm really proud of. And the relationships you build with those types of young men, you know, when they're under a period of challenge, being paid not much money, living away from home, you know, 18, 19 years old, things are going bad, people are booing from the terraces, to sort of go through that period of challenge with them and see them overcome it was one of the proudest moments of my life. It was my football club as well, which made it even more special. And some of the memories I have of sort of being on the pitch with them in those games and being in the changing rooms with them are absolutely amazing. And I always think back to that. A lot of that happened here, you know, we did a lot of that training here. And I remember like the day that we were trying to get Nathan Blissett to sign. And I remember saying to Kev, just get him down to meet me and I'll do the rest. I remember taking him in the office here and spending a couple of hours with him and convincing him that it was worth his while to travel all the way down from Birmingham to get paid less money than other people would pay him because we were going to look after him. Just to backtrack a little bit, you saw a little bit of the painting club on Saturday when I was boxing with Liam. Episode 2 is going to be with Leanne, who manages the painting club. You're going to get to see a day in the life with Leanne. So I'm not going to show you too much over there. I'm going to leave that to her. Episode 3 is going to be with Hannah in Torquay, who manages the Torquay club. You saw a little bit of my leg workout there, so I'm not going to do too much in Torquay. I'm going to leave that to Hannah. And just to touch on my workout, so I thought I'd better just say to people that that workout is designed really for what I would call like speed power sports athletics. So if you're a rugby player, American football player, which was my sport, that's the type of workout you would do sort of in season, where you combine some jumps, some throws, some sprints, and then some strength work. That's a really efficient way of doing it. That program and all the other programs that I write are going to be available on our app that comes out on the 1st of January. So if you want to be trained by me, if you want to use one of my programs, I'll be writing all the programs on the app. It's completely free for the first 3 months. All you have to do is download the app, set up an account, and then choose the program that you want to use and record all your sets and reps. Anyway, enough of me gassing on. I better get in before it starts raining as well. For the vlog, episode 1. How's the buys? I don't know if I'm looking pumped up enough for the vlog.
I know.
Well, the tries aren't bad. But hello, Marlon. How's levels?
Putting you on the spot now, isn't you?
Yeah, this is our first vlog.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're very good at the next customer here, actually.
All right, yeah. He can't be that difficult.
I think we've watched the game, so he's going to buzz him off.
Yeah, just buzz him off. He's on the Marines or something. Hello, Janet.
Hello.
How are you? Now listen, it's only fitting that you should be on the first episode, all right? The first vlog, Winners for Life.
Oh, really?
Because you must have been around just about as long as...
You just opened it, yeah, absolutely.
You must have been around about as long as I have, I think.
Oh.
You sound like you've got a dodgy throat.
I haven't got COVID, you're
Oh,
alright.
that's alright, don't worry, I'm not worried about that.
Oh,
You just been kissing dodgy frogs, have you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, you
I
okay?
think, yeah, I'm alright, yeah.
Have you moved?
Yeah, we moved alright. Malcolm alright?
Yeah, he's good, thank you.
And how's that grandson?
Oh, he's gorgeous. He's so gorgeous.
Is he getting spoiled?
Very.
That's the way it should be.
He's such a happy baby.
Yeah.
So happy, yeah.
Yeah, enjoy him because they grow up to be teenagers before you know it.
He's fine, isn't he?
He's amazing, yeah. He's full of it. He's in charge. But yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, good.
Best thing ever. Anyway, nice to see you. Wave to the vlog. Nice. Right, you're probably thinking Simon's finally gone completely mad. Why has he stood outside a gate on a busy main road? I hope the audio's okay. Well, this used to be our home. So this is the old Nortel site in Paynton. I just scan around a little bit. Right behind me is where our car park would have been, and where our gym used to be is just a complete pile of rubble. The story is we were trying to move from Dartmouth Road because it just wasn't big enough. And back in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, it was impossible to get planning permission anywhere. And Nortel was a huge employer, like an industrial employer, and there was some space available here. So we did a deal with the company that were buying the site. It was initially a lease with a view to buying a portion of land. We were going to put a coffee shop on the outside, a swimming pool around the back. And the deal basically fell through because the company went bust. The company we were dealing with went into liquidation. So our deal was kind of up in the air, it was nowhere. And they were trying to demolish the site. We were the only tenant who had a legal agreement on that site. They were trying to get us out as quick as possible. They were demolishing the buildings around ours. So, Johnny had this terrible, stressful 6-12 months where the electric cables were being cut every day, or there was no water or no heat. And it was an absolute nightmare, and we were very lucky to find the new home in Aspen Way in 2012 and moved pretty quickly, but I loved it here. I loved it. This is where the great Dean Evans started work, where Lou Butterworth come to work with us, Tristan. I absolutely loved it. This was a great gym. The ceilings were a little bit low, but when we'd come from Dartmouth Road at that time, which was very, very small, this just seemed like an absolute dream. So I loved it. I had some great workouts there. I used to do a lot of Olympic lifting here with Sam Dodge. I remember one Sunday morning, a real beast of a session with Iron Mike, with Doolan and with Sam Essen. I remember we finished off on Prowler outside. Sam Essen laying in a like pile of mud, being sick. Doolan passing out, and me and Mike just keeping going. So I loved it here, but it didn't end well. You know, we ended up with sort of almost being kicked out, really. But all's well that ends well. We ended up with a really great home. So before I freeze, I'm going to take you down to where it all started, Dartmouth Road.
Grosvenor Road. It would only be the OGs who know why I'm filming here.
Now you might think, why on earth is he walking down Grosvenor Road in Payton when he's doing a gym vlog? Well, we had no parking when we opened Dartmouth Road, so what you were always hoping was, could you get a space in Grosvenor? We called it Grosvenor 1, Grosvenor 2 or Elmsley. So say if your shift started, say 6 in the morning, then you would normally be able to get a space. Normally there'd be 1 or 2 spaces. If like your shift started later in the day, say lunchtime, it was a nightmare. There was just nowhere to park. So say we were due to start at 1:30, you might spend half an hour, 40 minutes driving around. Now to people today that might seem like no way, you didn't have any parking. Nope, we had no parking. We had absolutely nothing really. We were just a rented second floor premise in the centre of Payton, but it was magical. This gym, the first one is 2000, this was just banging. This was everything I believe about what makes a good gym. You know, I think today people are pulled towards cosmetics, and I think they're pulled by sales pitches and marketing on social media. I think a great gym is essentially about the people. I think it should be about substance. I think it's intangible. I think a great gym is where you go and it makes you feel better. This 6A Dartmouth Road, if you can find anyone that went there, I hope some people watch this. Please post up some comments and just let people know what it was like, because this to me was the best gym ever in the world. The atmosphere here and like the training here was just amazing. I've got so many stories. When I walk down this street now, Grosvenor, it still flips my stomach a bit, because I was a 23-year-old kid who didn't really know much about business, was a bit clueless, was a little bit aggressive, but was just so committed to making this work, and I just wanted people to come here and just love it. So even now when I walk down this street 22 years later, almost 23 years later, it just gives me like goosebumps. So I'm going to walk you down the main road. I'm going to show you 6A Dartmouth Road. So this is 6A Dartmouth Road. This is where the magic started. 22 years ago to the day, I was here throwing equipment down these stairs, loading it up onto a lorry to take to the tip to get rid of it. Now, this is now Payton Boxing Club. It's a great boxing club run by some great people. Paul runs this place. I'd recommend it to anyone. Unfortunately, I couldn't get permission to film inside, so you have to wait maybe to see, maybe at a later date to show you around the club. But this is where it all started, like I say, 22 years ago today. So I've come over to stand outside what used to be the Lime Tree pub. So sometimes we used to nip over here at lunchtime and have like chicken curry and rice, me and Sumner or something like that, fill our faces for a quick 20 minutes. But this is where it all started, and it's crazy now to think that this used to be, you know, an absolute banging gym. Like we had no car park, and the facilities were pretty sparse, pretty small, but it didn't matter. We made it work, and it was just an amazing atmosphere. It was just a place where the energy was just incredible, and we had all walks of life here. So the history was that when I took it over, it had been say a hardcore bodybuilding gym, and the previous owner had kind of run a bit of a scam where he'd sold their existing members, I think it was a 3-year membership, so he'd taken their cash, everything was cash back in those days, And then he turned up in the middle of the night with a van, loaded up anything of any value, and just left. So when I came to view it in October 1999, there were death threats written on the wall, Scafey. There were death threats and there were pieces of ham stuck to the ceiling. And I was this like 23-year-old kid thinking like, what the hell is all this about? But I think when I look back now, what I realise, and I know this about myself now from experience, is that I didn't see what it was, I saw what it could be. And I didn't see the limitations of the four walls and the smell of the sort of blue dye coming from the hairdressers underneath. I saw that I could just make it work. And I was so enthusiastic from the first second I saw it, and I just decided like, this is going to happen. And that next, say, 6 weeks, so probably from about the middle of November, so kind of where we are now, through to Christmas, we just worked so hard to get it ready, and to get it open, and to get the equipment. I remember driving up to London on a Sunday and viewing this equipment in Wembley, and then getting it ordered and getting it all done really quickly. It was like an absolute whirlwind, and we opened it up on January the 2nd, 2000, hence the name, Winners 2000, and that's really where the story started for me, and I learned so much here. I have so many great memories. It's kind of hard to explain really, but when people ask me about, say, business or about planning, or I'm always big on people and saying, okay, you must have a plan, you know, you must be organised, but it's a bit hypocritical really, because I didn't have a plan here. When I started this, I was kind of making it up as I went along. And I think sometimes what you can do in life is you can hold yourself back. You can use like a lack of a plan as an excuse just to not test yourself. All right, it might not be for everyone, and this was a very challenging period, but if something's important to you and you want something bad enough, I think you just find a way, and I think that's what I did here. And that might not be for everyone, but that was definitely what worked for me. And if people are asking me now, I'm big on saying, look, you should have a vision, you should have a plan, be organised, know what you're doing. But at some point, you just got to nut up and just take a challenge head on. And you know, people often ask me about, like, you know, was I scared? I can honestly say, like, I was never, ever, ever fearful here. I was never worried. I had every penny I owned was in this business. If this business didn't work out, I had one young baby, another one on the way. I didn't have any way of paying my mortgage, you know, but I never even thought of that. I was just the whole time thinking, I'm going to run the best gym, I'm going to run the best gym. And they say that you learn fear in business as you get older. I think there's definitely something to that. I think when you're young, you definitely have more of a hunter mindset. And as you become a little bit more conditioned, I think society tries to teach you fear and limitations. I would try to avoid that if I was you. I would just advise that you always just thought about what you were trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, and just go for it, and don't let no fucker get in your way. You know what I mean? So I wish I could have taken you inside 6A Dartmouth Road, because it is just such a special place to me, and it's where it all started. So many great memories there, but maybe in the future. Anyway, so that just about completes our tour. I'm just going to wrap it up, and then we're done. Right, well, that completes the whistle stop tour of the history of Winners 2000. So there's still loads of stuff that I'd like to show you and like to tell you about. There's loads of things like my great friend and business partner Ben Longley. I want to tell you all about him and the impact he had on me and how he helped me get Winners 2000 off the ground. There's the history of all the staff, all the great people that have worked here. Loads of stories about members, you know, people who we helped save their legs from being amputated, or maybe played a part in keeping them alive, stuff like that. I've got some amazing stories I'd like to share with you, but I'm conscious this vlog's going to drag on. So the final thing I wanted to say is episode 2 is going to be with Leanne Day in her life. So you're going to get to see the emotional roller coaster that is Leanne, up, down, all the great things she does. Episode 3 is going to be with Hannah. That's going to be over in Torquay. And then episode 4 will be with Rich. So you get to find out a bit more about him and about Newton Abbott. But in closing this first episode, I wanted to just say a big thanks, really. Without getting too like emotional and cheesy, because that's definitely not my way. This has been like 22 years of my life now doing this. 22 years ago to the day I was down there, like I say, throwing pieces of equipment down the stairs, loading it onto a truck, and then Perry was coming in the evening to help me take things apart, a friend of mine. I had a couple of mates here, Pels and Tim, ripping up carpets with me and taking the death threats off the wall. But this 22 years has just been, it doesn't feel like 22 years, it feels like about 6 months. It's crazy. When you're so invested in something and it matters to you, time just flies. Like if someone said to me this was 22 years, I would never, ever, ever believe them. You know, things that happened 10, 12, 15 years ago just seem like yesterday. And I just wanted to say, first of all, a big thank you to all the staff. So to everyone, however long you worked here with me, with us, just thanks for, you know, your contribution to Winners 2000, however great, however small. And I hope that being part of it was something that you look back on, and even if it ended badly between me and you, maybe you look back and think you learned some good things. Maybe you're proud of some of the things you did here with us. But thanks to everyone that's been involved. And of course, the final thing I wanted to do is to say thank you to all the members. So no matter if you've been one of the members from day one, from down at Dartmouth Road, that's still with us now, or maybe you've just been with us for a short period, maybe you're a former member, just want to say thanks, because like I always say, a gym is about people. Gym is not about, you know, like pan pipes, and it's about its internal decor. All that stuff to me is just, you know, useless. It has no substance. It's all fake. What makes a gym is the people and the atmosphere and the way it makes people feel. And I hope that all of our members, when you've been at our place, it's just made you feel better, and it's brought out the best in you, allowed you to take on new challenges, to become more of what you really want to be, all of those things. So it's been a crazy 22 years. I wonder what we'll be doing for the next 22 years. Who knows? But just want to say thanks for everyone that's been involved so far. Hope you enjoyed the vlog. Now as I get used to this vlog life, I think I'm supposed to say like and subscribe. Leanne tells me I'm supposed to say like and subscribe. But more importantly, I just wanted to finish this vlog by saying, winners.